Stan, where do we begin? With your story, with your life stories. Where to start? Maybe long retired, a grandfather, poolside at his home in Montgomery, Alabama. A favorite place, relaxed, sun-filled. He took such good care of, such meticulous military good care of, that he was so proud of, that he was so comfortable in. With Sherry, his wife of almost 50 years, the love of his life, and maybe there with his two grandchildren, his two granddaughters, playing there beside him. Happy man in a place and with people he loved. Or another story, maybe at 19, 4 months in the U.S. Army, days only in Vietnam, 12 July 1967, somewhere northwest of Pleiku in the Central Highlands, Ia Drang Valley. The ambush is over. Most of his fellow soldiers are dead or wounded. His ankles are tied together, put down in a covered foxhole. Dark, 1/3 full of water. Wounded, scared, and unbelieving. Expecting to be shot any time now. The next stop, the next day, the next day, the next day. No. Let's go to March of '73. Let's go to Denver. That homecoming, that first reunion with Mom and Dad, with his sisters, with Marty running across the tarmac to slam into his arms, surrounded by his loved ones, hugging and kissing and crying in jubilation. Unbelievable joy. Crying and kissing and hugging. Let's pause there and linger, and maybe close your eyes a moment and stop and try to step into those shoes with our hearts open and feel that moment in remembrance, an amazing, joyful, unbelievable as well, this time reunion into the arms of his loved ones. Or maybe we start 1960, fishing there on Bailey's Lake as a boy before the shoreline was dotted with homes, fishing with his buddies just down the street from his Lake Street home, living that friend-filled, freedom-filled Pekin childhood. Yeah, let's hang there a little bit. Come on, Farrell, Larry, let's go fishing. Get Dale. Maybe swim over to the Kriesman side. Let's hang there. Let's start with Stan right here in Pekin. At home there at 1516 Lake Street, 2 open dirt lots, undeveloped on the block, a natural playground, a ball field. Bailey's Lake 5962, a stone's throw away before development, and it's becoming Lake Arlen. Fishing in the summer, ice skating in the winter, swimming was forbidden by Muriel, his mom, but boys will be boys, I bet. Exploring and roaming the countryside all year round. Kids all around the neighborhood, full, glorious, small town Midwestern childhood. Be home for dinner, or if Stan forgot, the whistle would blow and you better get home. Baseball, dodgeball, fireworks on the 4th, childhood of play, freedom, and friends. Mates, Farrell, Larry Conant, Dale Rowden, Kenny and Earl, and lots more. Hang together with each other, ribbing each other, jacking with each other, relying on each other. When they got together at their 50th high school reunion, they reveled in the memories of their youth, the fun, the joys, the escapades, the lucky near misses and escapes, the wonders and joys of their Pekin childhood, an idyllic childhood. Older sister Brenda, Two younger sisters, Amy and Marty. Yeah, Stan as the youngest and only son, the golden boy. But kind, thoughtful, tender is the word his sisters use. Stan the man at home. He and his three sisters and mom and dad, son of Art and Muriel. She worked at the American distillery during the Second World War. Mom, not overly affectionate, reserved in expressing her deep love, but loving through her care and hard work, her taking care of the family. Muriel took care of things, did her part, house, laundry, vegetable garden, canning, the daily routine, the hard work, the loving work of mothering. Looking out for her family, for others, making sure everyone had what they needed. So a lesson Stan learned, not from her preaching, but from her living, from her daily life, helping each other, doing your duty. Muriel had a strong religious belief, taking care of what the Lord gives you, accepting what the Lord gives you, making the best of what the Lord gives you, doing your duty, and taking care of others. Her husband and brothers were all World War II vets, so she knew soldiering. She knew of distance, of worry, of unknown futures, of loss, and of joy, of reunion. She knew these things from her and her family's life. So Stan knew and learned without words, below words, deep in his being, deeper than words, of resilience, of strength, of duty, and of faith. He would credit his mother primarily for helping him make it through those years of captivity, his mother and his mates, his fellow prisoners. And she, who had received his pay during that 5 years and 8 months as a POW, she saved it all for his return. So when he returned, she had saved, to his amazement and surprise and endless gratitude, she had saved for him $130,000. An idyllic, loving, play, and friend-filled childhood in Pekin, Illinois. Stan the man, a fun-loving, friend-surrounded, thoughtful, handsome, tender young man. Then, 1966, drafted into the U.S. Army, along with a number of his mates. He had intentionally refrained, hard to do at 19, from any serious relationship with a girl before he left, not wanting to put someone else that he cared for and that would care for him through the worry and trouble of an unknown future. Even at 19, he was thinking of others. Vietnam. Then Vietnam. Let him tell it. I am now 19 years old with orders for Vietnam. After 11 days of leave, I land at Bien Hoa Airfield, South Vietnam. I've been in the Army a little over 4 months. 7 days after arriving in Vietnam, I'm in my first firefight. Several American soldiers are killed and wounded. I'm thinking how quickly things are happening and how little control I have. The morning of 12 July 1967, the day of my capture, was overcast, not uncommon during the rainy season. My unit was conducting search and destroy operations in the Central Highland, northwest of Pleiku, near the Cambodian border. We were in Nha Drang Valley, nicknamed the Valley of Blood by the French. It was called the ballpark by Americans because it was so flat. My platoon was sent out to establish a blocking force in support of one of our sister companies, whose perimeter had been probed by the enemy early that morning. We had been in position only a short time when we were told to move, reinforce Alpha Company ASAP. They were in heavy contact, pinned down, and had suffered numerous casualties. We never made it to Alpha Company. We came within sight of them, but could never link up. Like them, we walked into an ambush that quickly pinned us down and inflicted several casualties. In fact, I would find out several days later, several well-executed ambushes had taken place. One ambush wiped out the rest of my company, who I thought was on the way to help us. Help never reached us. Over the next 3 or 4 hours, many thoughts went through my mind. One thought in particular I can remember was, if the next 6 months are going to be like this, it's going to be a very long war. That 6 months became the longest 5 years and 8 months of my life. In fact, it became my life one day at a time. Now, there is, I believe, no good purpose in going more into details, and sometimes, maybe oft times, horrific details of their 5 years, 7 months, 26 days of one day at a time, life in captivity. More important for him and for us is what he did with it, how he survived it, what he learned from it, what he can teach us, remind us about life and its troubles and its tragedies, and how to overcome them. As to the details, suffice it to say that after 5 months traveling from the south up Cambodia on the Ho Chi Minh Trail, and finally reaching the POW camps in and around Hanoi, he was glad at the improvement of their living conditions. They had a light bulb. And he had found brothers, mates along the way. They had found each other, fellow soldiers, fellow prisoners. They had found each other. Some years later, in April of '88, now Major Stanley Newell wrote a report for the Air Command College, Staff College, part of a program entitled Insights into Tomorrow. His purpose was to give advice to soldiers on how to survive as a POW. I take it they hadn't gotten that course before they left. And I'm going to simply excerpt from that document his words again. Let him speak to you. In chapter 2 of a section entitled Do's and Don'ts, a few. Keep clean. It's important to your health. Get involved with others. Play games, tell stories, or anything that keeps your mind off your situation. Now, one of his strategies for survival during those days, those years, was revisiting his Lake Street home in his mind and in his heart, walking slowly through each room, lovingly attending closely to all the warm, comforting details of home, of that childhood home. So yes, in a very real sense, his home, his family, his community, his friends sustained him in vivid, heartfelt memory, despite what his captors told him. He knew he was not forgotten. He knew no one had given up on him. He knew through and through they were waiting for him. Back to his do's. Be polite. It may help you avoid injury, and remember, you are still an American soldier. Keep your living area, clothes, and eating utensils clean. It's important to your health. It may cause your guards to view you in a more humane way. Establish communication with other prisoners. This is a great morale factor for you and them. Keep track of the days and times. Helps you feel in control and will also be important later during the debriefing. Maintain your dignity may cause your guards to view you more humanely. Use common sense will make the time go easier. Be supportive of fellow prisoners. An encouraging word means a lot. Now the don'ts from Stan. Don't give up. You can make it. Don't lose your temper. It's a no-win situation. Don't feel sorry for yourself. You could be dead. Be glad you are alive. Don't worry about your family. It's your status that has changed, not theirs. Concentrate on survival. Don't lose your faith in your country or your fellow prisoners. You must help and support each other. Your country is behind you. Then in chapter 3 of his advice program entitled What You Can Expect, there is a litany of troubles, physical and emotional, that I will spare you. 25 or 30 things, none of them good. North Vietnam was not a signatory to the Geneva Convention, but he was just being straight, being honest with his fellow soldiers about what they could expect from the outside and from their own insides by way of response if they found themselves a prisoner of war. He concludes that section of what you can expect with the following words. It's his advice and his wisdom. Many of the above will persist the entire time you are captured. Some will come and go. To overcome or at least reduce the effects of the mental and physical reactions, such as depression and illness, will require personal strength and effort. You may also have to help your fellow prisoners through times of doubt and sickness. No one is always strong. There will be many problems you will encounter. The next section is about problems. One particular is worth focusing on. The other problem was our inability to handle our anger and frustrations. It took about 2 years and the death of several men before we realized that losing our tempers and allowing the anger at our situation to influence our actions was not smart. Finally, almost as a group, we stumbled into the realization of our situation and accepted it. This, I believed, helped us to control anger. We developed ways to release our anger and the pressure. There are many things you can do that will act as escape valves. We, for example, paced back and forth in ourselves, told each other stories about ourselves, family, and what we were going to do when released, related movies we had seen, played games, taught each other songs, and of course talked a lot about girls. In so doing, we directed our energies towards making the best of the situation, helping each other, and surviving. Problems are not always detrimental. Solving problems individually or as a group results in learning. Sometimes learning from mistakes, but it is still learning. Stan Newell, during his years, months, and days there, turning deprivation, torture, fear, and extreme and extended physical and emotional personal hardship, managed miraculously and mysteriously and unbelievably to turn all of that into compassion and understanding for his fellow soldiers and to wisdom about life for all of us. Into that focus on helping others, on each other, lessons of wisdom and advice. Here's his words again. You must quickly overcome feeling sorry for yourself. It will do you more harm than good. Also, it is true you were unlucky to be captured. On the other hand, you are lucky to be alive. you could have been killed. There is always a bright side to everything. One thing that always made me feel grateful and lucky under the circumstances when I looked around the camp and saw others who were paralyzed, disfigured, and couldn't talk. Remember, when you start feeling sad about your situation, just look around. You will see a lot to be grateful for. Just look around. You will see a lot to be grateful for. My, 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 my. The Gospel according to Stan Newell. And while we can be sure that the rest of his life, like all lives, was not without tough struggles and rough edges, nevertheless, he had a good life. He had a very good life. For instead of self-pity, anger, and resentment about what had happened to him, instead of about me and the unfairness of life, instead of that darkness, instead of that dark hole, he found the light. He found acceptance and understanding and compassion and blessings and wisdom and love. He found the light. His was a good life, and he passed it all around. On 11th of January of this year, when he left us, went on another assignment, another journey, this time in the light, back to our home country, all of our home country, with another Denver reunion up yonder somewhere, with Sherry and Muriel, Art, and Farrell, with loved ones and friends and mates in the light. God bless you, Stan Newell. God bless you. Amen and hallelujah.